All right. Hi.
Hello, what's up?
Hi, Ali. How are you?
It's good to be back. I'm
Yeah, it
good.
has been a while.
It has.
So, how are you doing? Busy, busy?
Busy, it's sweltering hot down here in Florida, like every summer, but I don't mind it.
Yeah, sure. And how is the preparation for the Silverback Summit going?
Oh, we're getting there. We're about like 5 months out from November. So every year it's gotten bigger. So it is a blast, but it is like planning a wedding every year. A lot goes into it. I hope you can make it one of these years.
I'm not sure yet, but I'll do my best. Um, it's in Florida, right?
Yeah, it's going to be in Orlando, November 13 through 15. And you're basically the main reason why it got started. Because if had you not started the Facebook group, then I wouldn't have had the idea.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, and yeah, it's great. I'll make it one of those years. And yeah, you always have the same great guests like Jordan and Dave Lee
Yep.
talking. And what other guests that I might not know yet?
Dr. Mike Twyman. I don't know if you know him. He's a cardiologist who
Yeah,
works.
yeah, I've
Yeah,
had them on the
very.
channel.
That's right. That's right. He's awesome. We've got Dr. Jose Antonio, who uh, did the studies on protein overfeeding in trained individuals. So, to show that high protein does not make your kidneys explode, nor does it make you gain body fat. So, I'm really pumped for that because he shows all the blood work and everything. And then we've got Dr. Eric Serrano, who he needs no explanation because he just goes off on tangents and entertains everybody. So it's a blast. And we've got people from the fitness world in my world, Jay Ferrugia, Mike Dolce, Luke Lehman. We've got business coaches. We've got NPs, practitioners, like tons. I have like 25 speakers I'm up to.
Yeah, awesome. And how many days is this for?
It's 2 days for the main day. And then on the 13th, the day before, we have a VIP day, which is geared towards both practitioners and coaches who want to grow their business. So that's a more limited capacity event where we've got really the whole day is like one big mastermind where we focus on every aspect of growing your business, whether you own a clinic, you do telehealth, you're an online coach, in-person coach, whatever. um, Anything that someone needs help with, we pretty much target, because in the fitness world it's a lot similar in the medical world where we don't get taught how to do CRMs or social media or structure your business, manage a team, like all the things that come with entrepreneurship. We're all alone on this island until we get together and actually have the connections and the people that you actually need to talk to in that room. So
Mhm.
last year we did it for the first time as a test and it completely sold out. I oversold it. So we got a bigger room for this year, but still kept it to a small amount. So
Yeah, awesome. I guess especially for US based clinics.
it's for all both. So we have practitioners from the UK, Canada, Europe, Australia, all countries, because there really is no event that provides this level of education in men's health that I'm
Mhm.
aware of in the world. And in the US, we've got tons of medical conferences, but all I hear is that it's so heavy on women's health that there's not much on men's health at all. And if there is, it's not necessarily evolved and it's regulated by any of the organizations that run the educational events.
Yeah.
So at Silverback, we talk about whatever. It's like free for all. You can say whatever you want on stage. No one's going to ban you or, look down upon, or you're not going to get your license removed or anything like that. So knowing how my personality is, how twisted I am, we have fun. So we talk about whatever. So it's a blast.
Awesome. I hope I can make it. All right. So yeah, let's talk today about what you're doing probably all day long. That's helping men with health. Still, most of the men that are seeking help are over 40, over 50 for you.
Yep, that's who we primarily deal with is guys over 40 who are probably proficient in the gym. They know their way around the gym, but they kind of are like, I've been doing the same thing for a while. I've listened to all the podcasts. I do the cold plunges. I've got all the information. Like there's no shortage of information nowadays. They just need more direction and structure and a system. They don't need another workout plan or another diet plan. So
Yeah. So you also provide, one-on-one help 24/7. I see in your post on Facebook, you're really helping men get to their goals one-on-one. But not for everyone, right? They really must be motivated to do it.
yeah, we're not for everybody for a few different reasons. Because we are dealing with higher level individuals, our price point is above industry standard, but we do handle literally everything so they don't have to think. We handle the blood work, we handle strategies around traveling if they don't know how to navigate food, training, hotel workouts, sleep schedules, jet lag. We have all that covered. The training and the nutrition is part of it, but it's not all of it. So guys just, they want to be told, this is what you do. Don't have to think, don't need to manage conflicting opinions, just execute. And that's kind of what we do. We're like the COO for somebody's body.
Mm-hmm. Easier. Yeah. Great
Yeah.
service, I guess. So, maybe let's talk about that first. Because it's summer here as well. A lot of people are traveling abroad and dealing with jet lag. So, how do you deal about this? What general tips can you give for people that are really messed up by these, time-changing events?
Yeah, it can be really annoying. So, what I did last year when I flew to Dubai to speak at an event, I downloaded, there's an app called FlyKit, KITT. And if you enter your flight information in there, it will spit out a schedule for you, when to sleep, when to take supplements. And that way you can acclimate to the destination that you're going, and it'll do the same thing for when you come back home. Most people are okay when they go somewhere, but when they come back, usually like they're wrecked. And some of those main supplements are going to be fish oil because it helps with inflammation from flying. Any of the sleep supplements that somebody takes, like your normal sleep routine, you can take those. But the sleep schedule might be off, but that's on purpose because you might only sleep for an hour and a half at a time. And that's purposely to make sure that when you get to your destination that you're actually on that time zone. So we help those guys where they can make their own little baggies of supplements and when to take and how much to take and all of that. And then like vitamin C to protect from getting sick or any of that. So dealing with jet fumes and air that's circulating and people might be sick, it's not something you want to deal with if you're on vacation or even a business trip. You kind of want to be able to think clearly. So making sure you're hydrated, not drinking alcohol on a plane, which is very easy to do, especially if it's free. So helping them understand that actually when you get there and you feel good, then it makes the rest of the trip that much better. Because we all know what it's like when you come off a plane and you're just like, what day is it? I smell like shit. I need to take a shower. Last thing I want to do is go to the gym. I don't know what to eat. Should I eat? I don't know. So that's kind of how we help them navigate that. But the main supplements I would say you want to fly with are going to be fish oil, electrolytes of any kind, some sort of vitamin B complex, and vitamin C.
Mm-hmm. And do you recommend taking melatonin before a flight just to make it easier to sleep, maybe?
Yeah. So, like, if someone's never used melatonin, I wouldn't say, all right, go take melatonin for this jet lag protocol because they don't know how they're going to react to it. So, if you have a trip coming up, start playing with it at a very low dose, like 1 to 3 milligrams. And then there is a schedule that you can actually take melatonin that can put you back on the circadian rhythm if you handle it well. So, a lot of guys already take that. Some of them take really high dose, which Dave has talked about quite often with 100 milligrams or above. But I wouldn't tell someone like, on this flight, go take 100 milligrams of melatonin. They might not wake up. That would be bad.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. All right. We also had a request, especially for you to talk about men over 50. If they come to you, maybe a structure, a structure analysis. First, what do you ask? For example, they come to you with low testosterone symptoms, what are the first questions that you ask them?
So if they have symptoms of low T, it's understanding what those are, because you and I both know many guys think that the only symptoms related to low T are sexual dysfunction. So many of them think, well, everything downstairs works fine, so I must be fine. And that's not always the case. So a lot of them struggle with energy, especially with that 2 to 3 p.m. drop off where they kind of just crash. So guys who are still working at that over 50 age, or if they claim they're partially retired, they're still working. They still work a lot because they just can't stop. So they're still susceptible to burning out, to being overstimulated. So you have to kind of audit their entire life as to what are the stressors in your life: family, work, travel. How often are you training right now? How much cardio are you doing? Have you ever had blood work done? Like some guys have not even had blood work done in 20, 30 years. So, or ever. They just get their routine physical, which does not include hormones. It's just very basic. So we always start with getting a hormone panel done in addition to all the other stuff. Because what a lot of guys don't realize too is that there are things in your labs that can be rectified with diet and training. So it doesn't always have to be tied to taking a pharmaceutical or a supplement. And most guys don't want to be taking 500 pills a day. We realize that it's a pain in the ass. If you have to travel with it, it's a lot, right? So we look at, all right, what can we rectify with food? Are there strategies that we have to implement through training, sleep, nutrition, lifestyle? And if you are taking a truckload of supplements, are they even working? How are they impacting the rest of your health? So do you even need them? Do we have to substitute it with other ones that could actually be more useful? So that's kind of where you need to have an understanding, because I get DMs all the time on Instagram like, do you think I need testosterone? I don't know. I don't know anything about you, you know? So it's not my call. It's a provider's call, but I would like to see lab work, of course, you know, and how's your stress? How's your sleep? How do you, like, you have to know so much about what goes into somebody's life. And then are their thyroid hormones optimized? Because we see a lot of that where testosterone and thyroid are suboptimal and they just don't feel good. So, and they attribute it to age a lot of the time. And they think, you know, this is my peak. This is how it is. And I'm like, no, look at all our clients who are over 50 and they are feeling great. Some of them have 6-packs. Like, there's no reason that life needs to end just because of a number according to your biological age. So.
Sure. Like I see patients every day, a lot of men, if I ask, what do you take for medication? You have a whole list. They take an antidepressant, they take something to help them sleep, something for their blood pressure, a statin for their cholesterol. They are all list of medications. I have my thoughts about that. I guess you also might want to lower this intake of pharmaceuticals and replace them by good lifestyle and better diet.
Yeah, like we've had a lot of guys who are on blood pressure medications and statins too, because that's what they were told to take. So logically, you would trust the person who has your health in their hands, but we all know that sometimes the person behind that is not the right person for you. So, and this could be a GP that you've dealt with for years and that you know and like and trust. Like, I totally understand that, but it is worth seeking out someone else's opinion and understanding what actually went into that decision, because there are still many decisions that are made off older literature. So like if cholesterol is over 200, immediately hand out a statin. We know that that's not really a case to warrant handing them out like candy anymore. And there's different ways that we can go about that. And then measuring, is it a genetic reason why certain parts of your lipid numbers are high? Is it not? Do you want to do more extensive testing to see if it is truly an issue down the road? And that's what Dr. Twyman deals with, where it's more longevity. Instead of waiting until you're 75 to say, oh shit, I'm in this predicament where now I really have to do something. Can you catch it early enough so that you can control for it with your lifestyle? Because there are some guys with genetics they can do everything right from a lifestyle, nutrition, training perspective, and those numbers won't really change because that's what they were given as a gift when they were born.
Yeah.
So,
You said you're interested in doing a hormone panel next to all the comprehensive blood work. But also in our Facebook group, a lot of the experts say, yeah, we're not that interested in numbers. The symptoms are more important. So what are you looking for in the blood then?
more trends. So like we definitely go off symptoms too. So I find, and this is just through experience, knowing if someone's lifestyle is not the best, because there are a lot of guys who maybe they're not obese, but they have some belly fat. They think they eat clean, but it's such a relative term that you really have to dig to find out, well, what does that actually mean? Because it could change week to week, or it could be 5 days a week, I eat really well, whatever that means, and then alcohol all weekend long. So understanding what all that means to them, and then finding out, well, okay, if your lifestyle is an actual mess, they don't feel the need to change too much. Sometimes they have to see on paper how it impacts the markers that are ones that you really do want to actually control. So typically that's metabolic health and the cardiovascular numbers, because they may not realize that their 4 drinks a week actually has a severe impact on their health, or they may not be eating enough of a certain nutrient. Like a lot of guys, they completely cut out carbs. Maybe that's not the right approach for them specifically, but they're doing that because that's what their friend said or somebody else, or they read it or whatever. So we don't look at numbers and we're like, yes, we need to fix this, fix this, fix this. It's like, well, how do you feel? What are you doing in the other 23 hours of the day that you're not in the gym? Because that's going to have a huge impact on what your symptoms are and everything that goes into it. So it's just more of a data point that they can actually see, because it's been scary for some guys, because sometimes they think they're doing all the right things, and then on paper they're like, oh shit, this is not good, I have to do something about it. So that will kind of be the impetus for them to make a change happen.
Are a lot of men complaining about their weight if they come to you?
Like initially, yes. We always think that women are the ones that get annoyed by the scale, but I assure you, men can be just as affected. And this happens for several reasons. Number one, if a guy is eating super low carb and he doesn't need to be, which tends to happen in guys who are on the leaner side, so maybe like 15% body fat, and they think, well, I ate really low carbs to get to 15%, so that's what worked, I'm just going to stay that way. However, their body tolerates carbohydrates a lot better because there's less inflammation, less body fat, they're in better shape, they still avoid them, so then they're just feeling awful, no energy, and they don't realize that like glucose runs your brain. So being able to think sharply and clearly, you could be benefited by eating more carbs. So sometimes they don't realize that. So when we give them carbohydrates, the scale might go up a little bit because every 1 gram of carb has 3 grams of water attached to it. So hence the word carbohydrate. That's why carbs are in a lot of hydration drinks, and endurance athletes eat a ton of carbs because it provides hydration. So that might make the scale go up, but it's not body fat. And then if they're under eating protein, we all know, like if you stand on a scale and someone hands you 5 chicken breasts, the scale's going to go up, but you're not holding on to body fat. So usually if they're eating more protein, but maybe the same or less calories, the scale might go up just from food volume. And then lastly, as we know with TRT, if they start TRT, that can bring on water retention. And the biggest freak out I found, because that can be anywhere from like 5 to 10 pounds within a couple weeks. And then they're like, I'm doing everything correctly. Like, what did I do wrong? And I'm like, nothing. You just started testosterone. Like, this is normal. So
When the weight goes up because of TRT, do you think it's because of water weight, or do men become more hungry and they eat more?
it could be both. It could be both. Usually they'll tell us like, oh my God, I'm ravenous. Like, what can I do about it? And then with the water weight, we're like, it will stabilize a little over time. Don't freak out. We've had times we've had to pull guys off the scale. So we tell them, just don't weigh yourself for a few weeks. Like, let's ditch that, because photos will tell a completely different story from the scale. And quite often you'll see a dramatic change in photos before you'll see a dramatic change in the scale weight. So if someone comes to us, they're like, I want to lose 20 pounds, and they lose 10 to 15, but they look completely different, then we usually ask them, like, are you okay with how you look now? And they're like, yeah, like I could see abs. I have like a vein here I never had. So they get attached to a certain number because usually that's what they weighed when they felt they looked the best, or when they were a college athlete. And we're talking 25 to 40 years ago. So things are a little bit different. So we have to account for that. But we do have to talk guys off the ledge, because also they look at day to day, right? So like if you weigh a kilo more tomorrow, it could be 20 different reasons. Like you ate later, you woke up earlier, you're less hydrated, you're more hydrated, all these different reasons. Did you have alcohol? Did you not? Like all this stuff. So we look more at the weekly trends, because if you look at a graph for scale weight, it's very much like this. It's never going to be straight down or straight up. So it's important to look at those trends. That's why we like weighing every day if guys don't have an issue with it. Because if you go week to week, there's like so many things that can affect that weekly scale weight that it's way better to do it daily, so they understand fluctuations and they know that that's normal. And then they look at the weekly trends. And then when we graph it out, they're like, oh, okay, I'm actually still dropping, or I'm still gaining at the pace I should be, not freaking out.
Yeah, sure. What percentage of men have never worked out or did resistance training when they consult you?
I want to say 0. We tend to attract guys who have worked out for a while, or they've like tried everything. Like they've tried CrossFit at 45, Barry's boot camp. They've tried the bodybuilding bro splits. Like they've literally tried every approach, program, diet, everything. So they're like, yeah, I've tried it all and I just don't know what to do next. So
yeah, of course, that's the public you attract, but that's not the general public.
no.
I see men and women from all ages for dermatological issues, of course. But I have a lot of people asking me, how come you are so fit? I'm 50 as well. I say I've been working out all my life. I want to do something, but they've never worked out. And a lot of guys ask me, how do I start? I say that's a whole other conversation. I can't explain this in this consultation, but it's my experience that a lot of men never worked out. A lot of men, 40, 50, they say, when I was younger, I did some soccer, football, but now my knees are hurt and I'm getting fat because I can't move anymore. They have a lot of excuses not to work out. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Is it
People are
easy
not.
for your man to stimulate them to go to the gym to work out more?
For our guys, I mean, I can speak to the general population as well, because I think it becomes very overwhelming because they think they have to go 7 days a week. They've got to prep their meals and bring them with them everywhere they go. And it's like paralysis by analysis. Like, when your to-do list is so long that you can't start anything because you're like, I don't even know where to start. That's usually when guys need to start something. So I would say, what do you enjoy? Because there's always an activity that somebody enjoys more than others. Do you enjoy walking? Do you enjoy running? Most guys don't enjoy running, but if they do, you can start there. Biking, anything, combat sports, jujitsu. Like a lot of guys have taken up jujitsu over the age of 50 now because it's competitive. And especially if they did play sports as a kid, maybe that brings that back. It's community, they enjoy it. But I would say just start with what you enjoy, because that's going to yield to a positive outcome that's going to push you farther to want to do more. And if it's weightlifting, what can you do? Because if your schedule is crazy, you've got 3 kids in sports, you're working a full-time job, you're traveling, no one's going to say, yes, dive into 5 days a week of training. which is really not necessary for anybody starting out. Like 2 to 3 days is more than enough. 2 to 3 days of total body is going to bring you so far. And then how often do you move? How many steps do you get during the day? Are you tracking that? Because a lot of people who do not work out or don't exercise are sub 5,000 during the day if they're sedentary with that type of desk job. So maybe we just give you a target, start hitting 8,000, start hitting 10, and titrate up so that it becomes more digestible and you start liking it. So we found like we've had people that maybe weren't like, I love working out. They don't really love it. They know they need to do it. So giving them mini targets throughout their journey works a lot better, because then we find they actually start to enjoy it because they feel the benefits from it. They look better. They feel better. They can show up in their business for their family a lot better. And then they're like, okay, I get it now. And they make time for it, where maybe before they really didn't, they just fit it in. So that's how kind of that goes usually.
Yeah, what I hear all day long in the general population is they're over 35, 40, and they say, yeah, well, I know I'm fat, I'm overweight, but yeah, I don't have time to do any sport. I'm too busy with the job and the family. And yeah, I always say to them, well, you have time to eat less. And they don't realize they don't even need to work out or do any sport to lose weight. They can always eat less.
That's so true too. Like they could even start there. And
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that even with our busy guys, and they're like, oh, the kids, this and that and all that stuff. And I think reframing it where, you want to spend time with your kids, you want to go to their sports games, you want to be there for them. What type of model do you want to be for that? Do you want them to grow up with a father that they've always known to have his belly hanging over his belt, who gets out of breath going up a flight of stairs? Or do you want to have the dad where kids are like, wow, your dad's strong, or your dad looks, I'm sure you get that, right?
Mhm.
Like you're the jack dad. So we kind of reframe it. And then you could hit them also with, maybe blood work is part of this equation, where if you continue on the path that you're on and ignoring your health, then what happens if you go down? Because that whole saying of like, I would die for my kids, but these people aren't even living for them. And men typically take care of the family, take care of everybody else except themselves until they get to a certain age. And they're like, okay, I built my business. I've poured into my family. My kids are grown now. It's my time. But sometimes that time is a little too late. And you want to catch that ahead of time, because you want to be there for your kids and you want to be the model. But if you're the lifeline of the family, what happens if you go down?
Yeah. I guess you don't throw all the advice at once at your clients. They can't start working out and taking supplements, taking whatever hormones they need at that moment, working out and diet advice all at the same time. That would be a bit overwhelming. So how do you go about that?
Yeah, some people do get very overwhelmed. So we start with what's the hardest piece for them, and then kind of go from there. So, tracking food is not really appealing to a lot of people. It requires effort, requires remembering to do it. So, just like anything, if it's not in your normal routine, then it's going to become a burden and annoying. So, we have some clients, they send us photos of every single meal. So we start there. Just send us photos. We can get an idea. That's fine. You're busy, you're on the road, stuff like that. Then you get an understanding of, okay, just how much protein are we taking in? Because that will be the most important. So once we have kind of an understanding of that, then we can add to it and then provide them ways to navigate it if they're out or on the road. So kind of like the old book, like eat this, not that. So we're not the type of group that's going to be like, Stephen, we need you to bring your 9 Tupperware meals to the sports tournament this weekend, because no one wants to do that. So we're like, yo, if you can go to the gas station and grab a protein shake, you're going to be good. Like, we don't care. I don't care what ingredients are in it. Just get your protein in. Like, don't worry about that, because that's not the biggest problem right now. So we try to make little wins happen throughout where they are in their life. Like if you have to drive a lot, great. What is accessible when you're driving? Protein bars, shakes, stuff like that. Because you have to go to the gas station at some point. So, that's how we help them achieve success so that they're not overwhelmed with having to be perfect. Because a lot of people think that that's the way. Like chicken, rice, and broccoli is sadness. It is not happiness. And
Exactly.
we all know, like, if you're given something that is not only completely overwhelming and complicated, but unsustainable, then they're gonna quit, and then
Mhm.
they're gonna blame us. And it is our fault if we don't set someone up for success. It's 100% our fault. So some coaches can scream in someone's face all the time about how uncompliant they were, but if you don't provide them a path to where this person can actually achieve success throughout their journey in a way that adapts to them, not the other way around, then it is the coach's fault. So
Mhm.
that's what we try to do, is meet the client where they're at so that we can adapt to them and not be like, okay, you have to change everything about your life to be able to do what we offer you. And
Mhm.
that's not going to work.
Do people also come to you with their problems related to hormones or TRT or HRT, whatever, like hair loss, for example? Do they ask you for advice?
On hormones and stuff, yeah.
Like related problems or issues like hair loss, for example?
Oh, hair loss. I send them the videos from this channel on that. So and that's always like a sensitive thing for me to encounter because, right, I'm not a man losing my hair. So despite what the internet trolls will say, I'm not a guy. So when it comes to that, like we actually have had a handful of guys that are afraid to start TRT because they think they will lose their hair.
Mhm.
So we have to have that sensitive discussion. Like Dave Lee's so good at this discussion, but I'm not a guy, so I can't say like, well, you shouldn't really care about your hair so much. Like, who am I to say that?
Mhm.
So we present the information, like the detriments to going on the hair loss medications, provide them educational content. At the end of the day, it's always going to be their decision. So a lot of them think that it equals instant hair loss, and we all know it does not. If they
Mhm.
are genetically predisposed, might speed it up, but some guys, like, they're totally fine. I think in their mind, they think once they start TRT, 2 weeks later, they become bald. So that's not how it works.
Exactly. What's your, it's from the chat box, a good question there. What is your best advice for clients struggling with stress eating?
Ooh, that's a good one. So we do actually have a few guys that binge. So there's a few different ways you can attack this. Catch it when it's happening. So what triggered that stress eating? Is it an event that acutely just happened, like somebody pissed you off, your family's annoying you, or whatever? Or is it just ongoing stress? Because then we can understand how to best manage it. But typically, it's a pattern that is related to something in childhood. And I hate to be like childhood trauma, but typically that is where it comes from. Or if somebody had a history of disordered eating or chronic dieting. So typically they'll kind of not eat a lot during the week, and then the weekend it like completely blows up. So if they find themselves binging from stress eating, we find like not a safe word, but like something to default to when they feel that start happening. So number one, if you can't remove the food from the house because you have children who like certain things or whatever, then take yourself out of that situation. Because if it's in the kitchen, you take yourself out of the kitchen. What else can you do to distract yourself? Can you go for a walk? Can you just drop down and do 10 push ups? Because that will just give you like an endorphin rush. What else can we do to default away from that stress eating? If it's really something that's happening when they're dieting, we don't have them diet anymore because that's just a recipe for disaster. So people will get scared not being in a calorie deficit, but more often than not, they actually are still in a slight deficit. But instead of them binging on 5,000 calories on the weekend and then going to like 1,700 during the week, you just increase the calories and spread it out across the week. so that they don't feel those triggers or that ravenous hunger or something like that. And that's worked really often, because sometimes if you're in a diet phase, that is a stressor to your body. So if you have all this other chronic stress in your life, we don't want to add to that, because we want to control the controllables, which is nutrition to an extent. Training is absolutely controllable. We can always train less if somebody has major stressors. Quite often, a lot more occur when somebody gets older. So we can control that, but we can't necessarily control other things. We can't control our children. We can't control what other people do, how they react, all the situations that come up just in life. So if we focus on what we can control, then that actually can help us to manage it better.
Yeah. It's interesting because I know a lot of people that tell me, I'm eating all day long. I'm in front of the computer. I'm working. I'm eating one cookie after the other. That's not even stress eating. That's just a bad habit, I guess.
Yeah, that is like, I've seen one of our coaches ask one of our clients, like, could you sit there with a bowl of like broccoli and do the same thing? And they're like, oh God, no. Well,
Yeah.
You're not really hungry.
Yeah. A lot of people are doing this. They're comfort eating. They're having cookies or a bag of crisps or whatever, and they don't even realize they're eating. A lot of people say, "Well, I just have one meal in the evening," but all day long they're eating little snacks.
Yeah.
I find it very difficult to get these people to stop doing that, eating little snacks all day long, because that can't be good for their insulin resistance.
Yeah, we had one guy who had like the little Debbie's cookies, like snack cakes, like in his drawer at work. And I was like, okay, we could absolutely take those out. I was like, throw them out. Substitute it with what the fitness industry would say is so bad, but like a protein treat. So there's like protein cinnamon rolls, protein donuts, protein, like you name it, it has a protein attached to it. Legendary Foods is like one of my favorite brands. Substitute it with something like that. Because if you have a sweet tooth, like I totally get that, because I have a sweet tooth as well. So sometimes people just need that because that's a dopamine release for them. But we don't need to eat the entire drawer. We don't need to reach for it when we get stressed. So it's a pattern break. Just like someone's trying to stop drinking. Like if their go-to is to have a glass of wine after every single dinner, every single night, you have to find something to substitute that activity with. So it's no different than when you're trying to pattern break somebody from going to food every time they get stressed. So if they have the ability to eliminate it from their environment where they can take it out of the house and it's not a problem, that would be the first thing that I would do, because that's just an easy solution. If it's not there, you're not going to eat it. And if you're going to drive somewhere to go eat it, we have a lot deeper issues we have to explore.
Yeah. Maybe a related issue. A lot of people are drinking, zero Coke or diet lemonade or whatever all day long. Doesn't contain any calories, but still, yeah. What's your take on that? Can it be a good replacement for real Coke or sodas?
I think so. I have no problem with it. Like a lot of my most recent Instagram posts talk about how our industry, I think I said it, we're like one pendulum swing away from needing a padded room, because people are so for something or so against something. It's like there's no in between. Anytime I talk about diet soda, Coke Zero, protein treats, like fake foods, there's always a subset of people that just hate that. And I always say, well, that's great, but this is a solution for a lot of our clients who live real lives. They're not going to hunt for the bison that was blessed by a monk and then bring it home and have their shaman bless it and do yoga with it. Like, that's just not realistic. So if we can provide solutions for busy people that they don't have to rely on stuff like that, absolutely. So again, if you're not someone who's going to eat the entire bag of candy, I have no problem with that. Everyone knows I love Sour Patch Kids and I joke about it and now it's like a thing. But I'm not telling our clients like, hey, eat a whole bag of Sour Patch Kids. But like if you're in a pinch mid training you like need sugar, like there's no detriment to that. So and people will say, well, you know, what if you have diabetes or issues with that and metabolic health issues? Then yes, of course, like that's obviously not a great solution for them. But if diet soda, which has, by the way, been used for years in the bodybuilding world as a cheat code for when you're dieting for something sweet,
Yeah.
you're not stepping on stage the next day where you have to worry about the artificial sweeteners causing some water retention. Like you're literally going to work or you're going to a golf event or your kid's sports game. Like I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
I love collecting all the zero sodas and trying those. So I think they're good.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see any problems with that too. But some people, like you say, are just so against it. You're getting cancer or whatever. Yeah,
Oh my
tell.
God, yeah, they're unbelievable. And I'm like, okay, cool. You don't know how to read studies. The consumption amount will never be the same that we're talking about. But they think like one Sour Patch Kid with red 40, all of a sudden this person is going to be eliminated from Earth. No.
Yeah.
Oh, let people
Don't
live.
exaggerate. Yeah, in whatever direction. Then a little bit of yeah, hormone-related issues. I don't know if you want to take those. Is there any optimal range for SHBG for men? Yeah, I know we've been talking about this on the channel many times. Gil did a video on this as well. So
I would say watch the video.
yeah.
I know we get a lot of the medical, personal medical questions. So I'm your girl if you need like strategies and systems, but I am not a doctor. So
Mhm. Mhm.
fitness, nutrition, bringing it all together, that's my thing. So
What I wanted to ask you, that's something personal. Like a while ago, I had what's her name? Amy. Let me have a look. I
subtle,
don't remember. I
Amy
had
Subtle.
yeah, I had her on the channel. Yeah, it was her. Yeah. Well, and I did some clips from that video on the channel, and I had some comments. Yeah, why ask a girl about men's health? And then I thought of you, Ali. Maybe you can answer this. Why would men ask any advice about men's health? Because you already told me I can't be the one that gives advice about hair loss, for example. But how can you give advice about libido or erection issues? How can men trust you about that?
I mean, I don't know, just tons of men do because I know way more about it than most of their doctors. And I've only been told this by other doctors. So it's not like I'm just aggrandizing myself. But I do think it's funny. I think I don't get that as much because I've kind of established like in that world. But on Instagram, for example, I'll get it from people who don't know me and know my background. And the other day, a few weeks ago, I did a video on bench press. And this will be helpful for the viewers because a lot of guys love doing flat barbell bench, and that is all they do. And they go as heavy as they can every single time that they do it. They don't put variety in their routine, meaning, hey, how about incline and incline at different degrees?
Mhm.
And then other additional things like using dumbbells and cables and all that stuff. They just like to flat bench and then they end up with a lot of shoulder issues. So I was talking about that. And there's a bunch of comments that are like, well, what does a girl know about bench pressing? And I was like, I see male trainers teaching women how to bench press all the time. Like that, it doesn't make sense. I didn't realize that there was like a sex attached or gender attached to exercise.
Yeah.
They're like, you don't have a chest, so why are you talking about bench pressing? And I was like, so now we're even dumber because now we're talking about like, yes, I don't have any boobs. I had implants. I took them out. Like we've been there, done that. What does that have to do with benching and building a chest? Like it's just bizarre. So I just ignore those people because honestly, they don't bring much to the table and they're triggered for some reason, they're insecure for some reason. Usually those questions come from somebody who is alone in their basement, miserable. People who hurt people are hurt themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's true for really anything with the internet, but that's usually where I get those comments. It's never anything like in public or when I meet people in person. Because I'll admit, I know way more about men's hormones than I do women's hormones because I just don't study the intricacies of it because it is so complex. So I will never claim to know everything because I think that's crazy if someone claims that. But I've learned so much from the people that you've surrounded me with, that the practitioners at Silverback Summit bring, the info that they have. I've studied it. I've attended the medical conferences. I've spoken at the medical conferences. I just haven't gone to medical school, but
Mm-hmm.
and I've dated a lot of men, so I know men, like, you know, it's just so bizarre. Like my gynecologist is a guy. Not once have I questioned him and been like, well, how dare you be, you know, a gynecologist? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, go away.
Yeah, well, all right. So, yeah, I had another question about alcohol because you touched on it briefly.
Yeah.
Is there any amount of alcohol that you would allow or that could be acceptable?
So it depends. We have many guys who have to entertain clients and end up in social situations where that is expected. So
Mhm.
if a client gifts a bottle of wine that's very expensive at a dinner, it's pretty much rude to say no. So we understand that. We're not like, nope, take it out, like completely done. With the understanding that if it's a routine thing occurring every single week, the progression to where they want to be body composition wise might take a little bit longer, but they understand that we're clear with the expectations up front so that nobody is misled, so that they understand the potential ramifications of drinking often. So if somebody only does it once in a while, then it's usually not an issue. If they've got a lot of body fat to lose and they want to do it very quickly, then we would advise to eliminate that because it really is the easiest, in essence, to take out that will make the needle move a lot quicker. So, more often than not, when guys drink less, they sleep better and they feel better. And as a result of that, they start looking better and they actually are more addicted to the way that they feel and look than wanting to drink alcohol. So they can also, like, we'll have guys show us photos. Well, they'll have like clear soda water or club soda with lime to make it look like they're drinking. So that always works. Or I'm like, just say that your doctor said your liver enzymes were off, because if they don't really know the medical jargon, they're going to be like, oh, that's bad, you know, like, well, yeah, it is, but like, you know what I mean? Like if someone drinks and they do labs the next day, like your liver enzymes are going to be up. But if you say that to like someone who doesn't understand why and all of that, then they won't question you if a doctor said so.
Exactly. During the stupid COVID IQ test era here in Belgium, if we entered a store, we had to disinfect our hands with this kind of alcohol gel. I don't know why. I never understood why. Whatever. So when I entered the shop, I always said, my dermatologist doesn't allow me to use this alcohol gel on my hands. And they always said, oh, okay.
That's a good one, though. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if a doctor says it must be true, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was something. I saw a lot of people with dermatitis or contact dermatitis from all those products on their hands in my consultation. So,
oh, I bet. Yeah.
and acne from using the masks.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that mask knee, we called it.
Yeah, but you in Florida, you were really, yeah, you didn't have to bother a lot with all of that. Eh? You were one of the lucid states.
It was nice. Like, you know, we moved here in 2021
Yeah.
because the New York area was a little bit crazy. And yeah, it was definitely refreshing because like walking down the sidewalk, people wouldn't like run to the other side to avoid me. I was like, oh, this is cool.
I remember you telling me that because here in Europe, everywhere, it was crazy. Uh, that's also why I started traveling to Africa a lot because, yeah, the complete freedom there.
Yep.
So I had a few more questions. Let me have a look.
Can I see that chat, or would I have to go on YouTube?
In the chat, there's a lot of questions about, yeah, TRT, of course.
It would be on
Is,
YouTube.
yeah, it's better. Your thoughts on daily injections, if you have any.
So sorry, I'm just pulling up the chat. Thoughts on daily injections. So we've had guys where, like, again, it's always a debate thing with like hematocrit and hemoglobin being high. Even if they're doing all the right things, they've been advised to do daily injections. There's some guys that do it because they like it. Like, when it comes down to it, like, the compliancy is a huge thing. And I know Dave has said this as well. So if they're willing to inject every day because that's what will get them to actually be consistent with their shots, go for it, but they don't have to. If people are under the impression that they have to, actually, because they've been like, oh, I don't want to inject every day. And I was like, who told you that? Well, my friend does. I'm like, okay, well, you're not your friend. So if we deal with a competent provider, then we can decide what is best for you. Because sometimes 3 days a week, like, they can totally be thrown off schedule if they travel a lot or they just forget. Some of our guys actually log it in chronometer, like they do when they log their food. They log when they took their shot. So I know I'm getting
Yeah,
off topic, but
don't complicate things too much. 2 shots or 3 shots a week are enough for most people. So there's really no need for daily injections unless you really want to do that for more stable blood levels. But if stable blood levels are your issue, you might consider also the compounded cream that Jordan Grant and Dave Lee also recommend, and Dr. Keith Nichols, and that's another option. So yeah, let's maybe one more training question. I heard you say you start men out on whole body trainings a few times a week.
yes. So, like, if they have more body fat to lose than not, it's a good approach to go 3 days a week with weightlifting, and then probably add in cardio on the other days, because more often than not, they'll need more cardio starting, especially if they're not doing it. And you can clean up a lot of things that will actually make their compound lifts, like squat, bench, deadlift, a lot stronger. Things like split squats, single leg variations, single arm variations. Like, a lot of guys hate that. Like, we have two guys that are former athletes that just started right now, and they're just like, I hate this shit. And they're like, I just want to squat heavy. And we're like, dude, this is how you got into the predicament that you're in now. This is why your back hurts, your knees hurt. Like, split squatting sucks. Like, it's awful. But when you get strong doing things unilaterally, you're even stronger and you feel better and you move better. And then you can come back to the heavy stuff that's fun later. So we have to kind of talk them off a ledge sometimes, where we're like, listen, 3 days a week is not going to be forever. If we're getting body fat off you, then having open days to do cardio, especially if you're time poor, then that allows us to kind of expedite the process so that you don't have to lift and do cardio and spend time that you don't have in the gym. So if we hit everything at once, it leaves you feeling really good. It is doable. Guys see great results from it. And then it can be seasonal as well. Like, when some guys, they want to play golf, but they don't really have the time to train 4 days a week and play golf and do other things, then let's go to 3 days a week, open up a couple days. You can do what you want. And then when golf season's over, we can transition, or phases of life or whatever. But more often than not, like, after you've trained for a long time, you realize you actually can get away with less and your body does not dramatically change.
Exactly.
I experienced that myself. Like, the last 2 years, I had more weeks than not that I did not train due to just crazy travel. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not obese now. Like I didn't lose all my muscles. Like, oh, or I had
Yeah.
the flu or whatever. But like people, they'll freak out and it doesn't have to be that way. So you could actually get away with doing less and doing less intensely if you train hard enough than doing 6 or 7 days a week in a row. And then it just ends up being junk that you just go do just to check a box and then leave the gym. So,
Mhm.
um, but yes, so if guys have a lot more body fat, they don't need to be in the gym more than 3 days a week lifting because that will help kind of speed up the process in conjunction with the nutrition. So,
Yeah, same here. I've been traveling a lot the last few years, and yeah, maybe 4 or 5 weeks a year that I don't train at all, and the other weeks sometimes 2, 3 times, and I don't lose any muscle. On the contrary, you even feel better, less stress on your tendons, and so on. So I wanted to ask, what other things do you have to take into account when men get older for their training? So do they have to train less heavy, more recuperation days, or what other stuff?
I think it's not that the heaviness always, it's more the frequency of going heavy sometimes that if they don't feel good after it, then it's not going to be something that they enjoy. So I think it's finding variations of things and just being okay with, hey, maybe you're not doing reps of 3 for 6 sets anymore. Because if you're doing reps of 3, the weight's really heavy. Are you okay with that? Or instead of barbell bench, like a lot of our guys who have home gyms bought the Swiss bar because it allows for the neutral grip and you can still actually put a lot of weight on compared to using the dumbbells. So trap bar over barbell deadlift, especially if you're taller, that tends to feel a little bit safer and puts the load in a better position. So it's finding things that are a little more joint friendly, especially if the joints don't feel well, and then hitting things that probably they never hit over the course of their prime training years, which are the things like I was saying with split squatting, breaking stuff up. A lot of our guys have never done like a front foot elevated split squat because that actually gives you more ankle range of motion and works that range of motion so that when you do a real barbell squat, you don't have knee issues, you don't have the same hip issues. So it does transition over. So
Mhm.
it's kind of getting the buy-in as to why you have to do this stuff for life so that you actually do feel good doing the stuff you do enjoy. A lot of our guys have fucked up shoulders, so they've just reconciled the fact that they're not going to be PRing their bench press every week like they did when they were 25. So
Sure.
they're okay with that. They feel better with dumbbells. They feel better going neutral grip or even like a landmine press for shoulder press. So not everyone can go overhead. Not everyone should. Not
Mhm.
everyone should try just to see. Like that would not be good. So if something breaks, and then taking care of the joints. So maybe we have to warm up when we kind of didn't care about warming up for years and years because it just takes a while for the blood flow to come in. And we do warm up sets. And you'd be surprised how many people don't know the difference between warm up sets and work sets. So
Mhm.
that requires some explanation because they're usually just going. So, like, if we prescribe like 4 sets of 8 to 10 and the first set is 50 pounds less than the last set, then dude, that first set was a warm up set. Like, what are we doing? So that's where guys can leave a lot of gains or progress on the table
Mhm.
if they're not actually doing enough effective work sets because most people, if they've never trained hard, they just stop when it starts hurting or they feel like it's enough. But if you can keep going and go beyond 10 reps and you can go to 20, then we have to increase the load. And so therefore that first set would default to a warm-up set, but people just go right into it. So we will often prescribe loads now or warm-up sets with loads before they start their actual work sets.
Mhm. Sure. Yeah, when getting older, of course, you have to have other goals as well. Maybe you don't have to do any more PRs. You just have to feel good, be muscular in comparison to your your others from the same age. There are other things in life than just PRs or muscle mass as well. You don't have to carry all the muscle mass till you're 70 years old. Can be healthy as well for the joints and so on. So Ali, I wanted to ask you, what are your physique goals for the next few years? Do you want to build more muscle? Do you want to become even more lean? What are your physique goals?
So I've maintained about 55 kilos for the last like 3 years. I'm good with how much muscle I have. At the end of August of this year, I'm competing in my first pole dance competition. So I took that up last year because I was like, I am surrounded by men all day. I talk to men all day. I need to meet women in Florida. I'm going to start pole dancing. And let me tell you, that is hard. So I'm like, I'm strong. I can climb up the pole because everyone thinks like, oh, it's stripping. It's not stripping. Like it's an actual sport and it's very fitness related. So I do have somewhat of an advantage to be able to throw myself into a lot of the tricks, but I am not as flexible as I would like to be. A lot of these girls can just like bend themselves around. So flexibility into the next year will be a big part of that, which we've worked on a ton because I've had my own coach for 8 years. We worked a ton on that this year because I'm like, well, I don't want to give up my heavy lifting. So we keep up the squat, bench, and dead, but I'll do some weird shit that has gotten me more hamstring range of motion and stuff like that because those tricks require straight legs with certain positions when you're upside down and all that. And like, I'm pumped. I'm just very excited to compete in something that is like a whole new world for me. So I think I will continue with it and do it next year because I do enjoy it. It is very challenging. It is exhausting. It's like doing jujitsu with a pole. It's just this inanimate object that you're constantly like, it's a lot. So that's fun. So yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm happy with the amount of muscle I have and the weight that I am. And, so now it's, what else can I do that's kind of fun and challenging and all that stuff. So
awesome. Yeah, great idea. Yeah, why not? You can always learn new stuff getting older.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So before we round up, let's maybe remember our viewers how they can reach you and how they can, maybe sign them up for the Silverback Summit.
Sure. The Ali Gilbert on Instagram. So that's where I'm most active. And then you could find ali-gilbert.com as my website. But Silverback Summit, just go to silverbacksummit.com or Silverback Summit on Instagram. That is my annual men's health event that brings together all my trusted TRT practitioners, fitness, business, nutrition, everything, coaches and entrepreneurs into one room. And we have a lot of fun. So that is also, you can find tickets for that. We'll do another hard ticket launch at the end of July, but tickets are live. So November 13 through 15 in Orlando, Florida. So come meet everyone you talk to in the group in person and hang out with me, I guess. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah, too bad our first Facebook group was taken down by Facebook. I still don't know why. But yeah, well, we rebooted a new one. So it's called TRT and Hormone Optimization 2.0 on Facebook. So join us there, all the experts, and Ali is in there as a moderator as well. So thank you so much, Ali, and talk to you next time.
Thank you, Stephen. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. All the best. Bye.